first thing I'm going to say to Raul is hi. It's been a long time.
It's been 7 weeks since Aaron Giuseppe has seen his husband, Raul Pero.
I have been carrying around his wedding ring, so I'm going to give that back.
Their last moments together in the ER of a local hospital, where despite being healthy and young at just 39, Raul was quickly whisked into the ICU for what became a hard-fought battle against COVID-19. With pneumonia in both lungs, he would spend 30 days on a ventilator.
The closer I get to this actually happening, the more real it becomes. I think that this whole experience has been so surreal, it's kind of like hard to believe it until you see it.
As cases continue to rise throughout the country, this week the CDC predicting 200,000 deaths by the fall. Tonight we meet two fighters, neither elderly nor infirmed, pushed to the brink by COVID-19. Sidelined for months, placed on ventilators, their families forced to watch from afar.
It's the longest 5 minutes of waiting I've ever done in my life.
Their journeys, reminders of how much we still have to learn about this silent threat, and that for some, leaving the hospital is just the beginning of a long road back. What's keeping you up at night?
The fear that my husband is not going to come home to me. And then, of course, just the fear that this is going to get so much worse.
We first spoke with Aaron back in March, just days after Raul was intubated. When was the last time you got to see him face to face?
So we were in the emergency room, and he was in so much pain. They said, hey, we're going to admit Raul to the hospital, and there are no visitors allowed in the hospital right now. And I just said I was so sorry, and that he was going to get better and stay strong for us.
Oh, I'm so sorry, honey.
So I took him into the hospital on Sunday. On Tuesday, he went onto the ventilator, and they were very specific with me that they still thought that the virus was going to be increasing and that he was going to get sicker and sicker.
The pandemic, a terrible twist in their otherwise idyllic love story. How did you two fall in love?
So the good old-fashioned way, we met online about 10 years ago. And our first date, we took a little hike and had ice cream.
They married and moved to Denver, where they now live. For their second anniversary, they were looking forward to another hike.
Tuesday, the 24th, that was our second wedding anniversary, and that was the day that he was moved to the ICU and put on a ventilator.
Across the country in Virginia,
And he finally came back.
a Father's Day celebration in June that almost wasn't. For Titou Phommachahn, moments like these now all the more precious.
Something I used to take for granted. Now I appreciate every sort of moment with them now.
Our faith was a big part of this. In my peace and survival and getting through it all was kind of knowing that it wasn't his time and he was going to make it.
How did your faith sustain you during those dark days, especially?
A lot of prayer, a lot of hope. I learned to turn my fear into faith was one of the sermons early on. Actually, the day he was diagnosed, that was the sermon at our church, was turning fear into faith. And I struggled with that.
In March, his wife Amanda was preparing for the worst as he fought for his life on a ventilator at Inova Hospital in Fairfax, Virginia. Dr. Eric Olson, a lung specialist, was one of his doctors.
We started him on heparin while he was still on mechanical ventilation, continuous dialysis. You're doing multiple things, and it's very difficult to know what worked.
You threw everything you had at him.
Yes, we did.
Titou was the first at his hospital to be treated with the experimental Ebola drug, remdesivir. A week after arriving, his condition took a dive, leading Dr. Osborne to turn to an even more invasive procedure, a special machine called an ECMO, to lighten the load on his heart and lungs.
You suck the blood out of a large vein. It goes through a pump, a centrifugal pump, and then through a membrane lung, and then you return it to another large vein, like dialysis for the lungs.
And so this machine basically filters and oxygenates your blood for you.
Yeah, it removes carbon dioxide and it infuses oxygen.
longest 5 minutes of waiting I've ever done in my life.
For Titou, those aggressive treatments and outside-the-box thinking worked.
Wow, it was great.
Weeks later, Amanda was there, ready to bring him home. What was the first thing you said to your daughters?
That I love them. That Daddy was fighting to come back.
Thank you, doctors and nurses, for saving our dad.
My first day here was in the ER on March 22nd.
Okay.
I was having high fever for like 3 days, so my husband decided to take me to the ER.
Do you remember about waking up? What was that like?
It was hard because you didn't know what was real and what it wasn't.
After almost 2 months in the hospital, the gravity of Raul's ordeal simmers just below the surface.
I knew where I was, I guess, when they first ask you, it's like, you know who you are, you know where you are, and you know why you're here for. And then they ask you, you know what day it is, and I didn't have any idea.
He'd spent 30 days on a ventilator here at UC Health in Colorado.
I freaked out because a lot of time has passed. I freaked out because I had my interview for citizenship scheduled for April 14th, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I missed it.
Good. Kick out?
In those first days, breathing on his own, he still couldn't speak. He could barely move. And due to COVID restrictions, he could only see his husband, Aaron, through FaceTime.
And that was always amazing because I was getting to see him. However, it was terrifying and horrible because I was seeing my husband who had lost 50 pounds. And so you're trying to be as strong as possible for him and not convey that, hey, I'm worried.
My hard time started when I woke up. So he was so happy and telling me, oh, you're going to be fine. And I was like, I cannot move. Everything hurts.
Raul, describe that pain for me.
I never thought that it could be possible that your whole skin just hurts anywhere in your body.
Deep breath.
Despite searing nerve and muscle pain, Raul quickly became focused on his recovery. Bill Niehaus was one of his rehab doctors.
He woke up just a few days before he came to rehab and really started to put together all the things that had happened to him. And from the get-go, he had this fire to get home. You can just tell when you talk with him that nothing's going to stand in his way.
I know that the doctors said that it was you who was the fighter. It was you who was determined to get home for Aaron's birthday. What drove you so hard?
Well, I just was ready. I made my goal that I want to be home by his birthday, which was May 10th. One of the therapists came and told me, you know what? We had a meeting and we decided we're going to release you on May 8th. So congratulations, you're going to make your goal.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.